There are certain sports that seem to be reserved for the prim and proper. Activities like tennis, crew, golf, not the kind of events to haul out the pickup for a tailgate. Or, say, polo, sophisticated, swank, sometimes referred to as the sport of kings. But here in St. Louis, you'll find a group that swapped the horses for bikes, ditched the preppy uniforms, shelved the mint juleps, and created the St. Louis Bike Polo League.
It's a hard sport to jump into, but it's such a welcoming community, and everyone is always helping each other and loaning gear, and it's unlike anything else, I think.
Believe it or not, this is the St. Louis Bike Polo team's spring tournament. And as we know in the Midwest, weather is unpredictable. But what's predictable is the amount of people who travel from all over the country to play in the tournament. Not necessarily because it's seriously competitive, they're just here for a seriously good time.
I think this is our fun tournament for the year. We usually throw 2 tournaments a year, one that's a little more serious and one that's a little more fun.
Alyssa Jones has been playing bike polo for about 8 years now. And while the league encourages people of all skills to try the game out, Alyssa says a lot of the players merge into the sport from the cycling community. In fact, that's how the sport first got started in the U.S. Although cycle polo dates back to the late 1800s in Ireland, it was in the early 2000s when a group of Seattle bike messengers were looking for a way to pass the time in between deliveries, and they developed what is now known as hardcourt polo. There's also grass court bike polo, which, if you ask me, sounds a lot safer.
You know, I've never really gotten hurt playing polo, but I play casually. I like to ride slow. Some people like to ride fast or get a little, physical. Like the rules allow for that. There's, contact is allowed, or certain kinds of contact. It feels a lot like hockey.
Okay, so it's a little bit like hockey, but beyond understanding that the objective is to get the most amount of goals, that's about the extent of what I know.
They start with a joust, so both teams line up on either side of the court. The ball's in the center. They call 3-2-1 polo, and then one person from each team kind of runs to the center to race for the ball.
So you're handling the bike with one hand, the mallet in the right. The biggest rules is you have to hit the ball with the ends of the mallet, not the broadside.
Hitting the ball with the broadside of the mallet, called a shuffle, doesn't count for a goal, but it is allowed for passing the ball back and forth on the court. And if you lose your balance off your bike, called a dab, you're no longer part of gameplay until you touch a designated spot at half court. Games are always 3 versus 3 and last about 12 minutes or until a team scores 5 goals. But with these tournaments, the way teams are formed is a bit unusual. But it's not like cities competing against other cities, right? No. So yeah, how do you form teams?
It's all just reaching out to your friends and whoever you want to play with. Sometimes it's people you've never played with before that you think they're going to be good on the court. Sometimes I just play with my friends. We're not even the most competitive, but I'm just here to have a good time, and if we score a few goals, that's good as well.
So the premise of this one is that every team has to have at least one WTF player, so someone who identifies as women, trans, or femme.
This is all there's no sponsors, there's no funding, so everyone is staying at each other's houses. It's a warm community, and you get to know everyone, and I play with people across the Midwest, and this is it's a family reunion almost. You all get together and see each other and have fun playing polo.
You have all these best friends that live in other cities, so now it's it doesn't matter where I travel in the U.S., there's I always know people. I know someone in every city that plays bike polo.
If you're really into a really community-focused sport, bike polo is great for that.
For Living St. Louis, I'm Brooke Butler.